and welcome to The Big Fight. This week, we're going to look at a menace that is really haunting the country, and we don't seem to be able to quite figure out what to do about it. WhatsApp rumors, one reflection of social media. More than 30, some would say 40 people have died in the last year and a half because of rumors being circulated on WhatsApp. Let's remember, many of these are fake stories, created stories, morphed images, things that are not true. But they are created, they're circulated, people believe them, and people lose their lives. That's one aspect, that's one face, if you like, of the monster. The second is something else that happens, trolling. Now, you can say that, okay, trolling is something which you should get used to. You should have a thick skin, you should be able to put up with it. But it can damage lives, it can destroy lives, it can really leave lasting scars. And as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, no one is immune from it. From a 10-year-old child of a prominent politician who gets threats on social media, and Priyanka Chaturvedi is going to be joining us on this show, to a prominent journalist who has direct personal abuse hurled at her at the most of the foulest manner imaginable. And yes, Rana Ayub is going to be with us too, to the external affairs minister of the country, who gets attacked, who gets trolled, who has to fight it, who has a husband being sent messages saying, why don't you beat her up? And only later, slightly belatedly, to cabinet colleagues, Rajnath Singh, Nitin Gadkari, and now Ram Madhav actually coming out and speaking in her defense. So, look, it's a problem out there. The anonymity that people think they have in social media is leading to a problem. It is leading to people losing their lives, it's leading to people losing their reputation, and we've got to figure out what we should do about it. Yes, there will be a blame game, and I'm sure during the course of this program, there will be a blame game. But hopefully by the end of it, we'll also start trying to figure out what some of the possible solutions are so that we can try and get the problem under some sort of control. And we have a great panel joining us. Priyanka Chaturvedi, spokesperson of the Congress Party, the person who threatened her daughter, in a sense, has now been arrested. So, you know, it's moving in a certain direction. But Priyanka, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Govind Raj Ethiraj, founder of India Spend and Boom, is one of the people who's been doing a lot to try and fight the spreading of fake news. We'll be getting your ideas and thoughts on this as we go forward. Shivam Shankar Singh was a political consultant, former BJP supporter, recently came out and with a critique of the government at the time when he was leaving the BJP, got a lot of attacks for that. Here in the studio, Shailesh Kumar, he's social media supporter of the BJP, sometimes described as right-wing, can tell us from the other side as to where a lot of these issues are coming from. Vineet Venkaz, of course, a member of the BJP, has also been a member of the BJP IT cell, so we'll be interested in getting your views on some of it. Pradeep Bhandari is the founder of Jan Ki Baat, sometimes has been described as center-right or soft-right, or call it whatever terms you want, but it'll be great to get your views on board. We'll be joined in just a couple of minutes by somebody whose views will be really interesting to hear. Pradyut Bora, he was the man who set up the BJP's IT cell. Remember, BJP IT cell has been accused of a lot of what has been happening from the point of view of the spreading of some of hate speech and the forts. He was the founder head of the BJP IT cell, so it would be good to get his views as well. And last but by no means the least, Rana Ayub, senior journalist. And Rana, in fact, why don't I start off with you? Rana, I just wanted to say, you know, I don't normally make personal statements, but I do want to make a personal statement. The sort of things that you have been subjected to for doing your job, for doing your duty as a journalist, the personal attacks, I think it's also a reflection of the courage that journalists still have and the courage that you personally have displayed, that despite the foulest possible form of abuse and personal targeting, you're still out there, you're still soldiering on, you're still doing your job as a reporter. So Rana, first of all, can I start by metaphorically doffing my hat to you? And maybe you can just share with us what happens. What happens when the troll army turns on you in the foulest possible manner?
You know, Vikram, you know, I'm used to trolling. I'm used to getting the most vile statements from people who disagree with me. I'm used to criticism. I'm used to, you know, abuses. I'm used to gang rape threats. But this time around, I think the trolls hit a new low when they mocked my image on a pornographic video. and it was circulated all over on social media. It came as close as to my father's phone, my brother's phone. My relatives were receiving it. They were calling me out of concern. And I have never witnessed something as ridiculous as this. My number, my address was shared in social media. A fake tweet was generated that said, I am available for the night. People sending me their naked images on my phone, on WhatsApp messages. On social media, a number of fake tweets were generated that said, I hate India and I hate Indians. One of the tweets was shared by a member of the BJP, was shared on Yogi Adityanath fan page. Despite me calling out that it was fake, it was not removed from the Twitter handle of the BJP leader. This only kind of, this just the intensity, it kept on increasing. And that kind of abuse, I had palpitations, anxiety attack. I thought I had seen the worst, clearly not this time around. And this was not social media. This was a virtual lynch mob. This was a virtual lynch mob which would stop at nothing. And I do not know what did I do to deserve this? Except for doing my job as a journalist, except for expressing my opinion, which I always do as a journalist. I do not think anybody in India, any journalist deserves this kind of treatment, this kind of humiliation that was inflicted on me, that actually eventually led to the United Nations issuing a statement. So this is the worst possible form of abuse that I have faced in my career.
Rana, let me just get to try and understand the extent of what is happening. Let me just turn to Priyanka Chaturvedi. If your story was a horrible personal story, Priyanka, to be getting onto Twitter and to be finding people making, I can't even repeat it, the most horrible sort of a slur and almost a threat, actually, it was a threat, to your 10-year-old daughter. You'd really have to wonder how low people can go.
Absolutely, and every time I'm on social media and I'm voicing my opinion, I feel we have hit rock bottom, and then someone comes and surprises you with something more vile and something more abusive and a lot more threatening. And this had gone way too far. I have been at the receiving end of abuse because of me being from an opposition ideology, speaking out and speaking my mind. So the easiest way they believe that they can silence women voices is through vile abuses and threats, etc. I have also had instances of my fake images being used with fake quotes about me and spread across various FB pages and WhatsApp, and this is exactly how this entire story came about, where a quote was attributed to me where it said that I was standing in support of the Mandsaur gang rape accused. And that went viral. In fact, it continues to be on Facebook on pages such as We Support Narendra Modi pages. And I get rape threats almost like every single reply is that of a rape threat. What got worse was when they dragged my child into it and said that she should also, be raped. So this was what I felt had gone too far and had to be reported. And I had to take control of how I was perceived by the right wing for the ideology that they believe should be the dominant ideology in the country, and I wouldn't allow them to speak like that about my daughter. And that is when I chose to file an FIR, and I'm grateful that the Mumbai police, the Delhi police, the Home Ministry all got together and ensured that the accused, the one who was threatening my child, it was brought to justice, and he has been apprehended and he's in remand. So,
that's a good step, because frankly, this is something which should go beyond politics. And I'm going to get in everyone here on the panel who may disagree with you, Priyanka. But just to ask all of, Pradeep, Vineet, you want to come inside it, that anybody who's making threats about a 10-year-old child, whether that person is a political rival of yours or not, presumably everyone should condemn this, and we have to find a way of doing it. You think it's good that he was arrested?
I use only one word for this kind of perpetrator of crime: monsters. Be it anybody, and the threat is given to anybody, from my rival party, my party, person whom I like, a person whom I dislike or disagree. This kind of words and this kind of threats have no place in democratic society.
Okay. And so that's good to hear, because I think one of the things that
and 4 days back when I was with her,
I think one of the reasons is that one of the reasons why it's important to have this discussion and this debate is this should be taken out of politics, right? Anybody who does stuff like this, who does that, if you want to, this is not the sort of a country I'm sure any of us want to live in, where this sort of filth is spread?
The idea is that the government of the day, with supporters using fan pages to speak nonsense, needs to be pulled up, needs to be held accountable. They need to speak up, and we need to speak up in one voice. And only then we are going to see impactful change happening through social media platforms. Otherwise, it's just going to be lip service, paying lip service to issues that come up like this. So all I'd like to tell Vineet Goenka is that I think you should also choose to move beyond your political affiliations and actually denounce all kind of pages which are supporting Narendra Modi ji, supporting the Bharatiya Janata Party, making these kind of images of their political opponents viral, which can actually cause a problem in their lives. We are seeing how mob lynching becomes the norm of the day because of these kind of fake, images becoming viral, fake stories becoming viral, and nothing is being done about it.
I'm just going to move on to that, but in fact, Govindraj, if I actually before I come to you, Govindraj, Shivam, you were trying to make a point. You were trying to make a point, Shivam.
Yes, definitely. So condemnation is the very bare minimum. That's where it starts out. Everyone should condemn something like this. That is the bare minimum, but that is not where it should stop. This will not stop because someone criticized the person doing it. This will not stop because someone condemned it. To actually prevent stuff like this from happening, from people getting trolled with vile abuses, what needs to happen is that political action needs to be taken against these people. If they are a part of a political party, they must be thrown out. If a legal case is filed, they must be prosecuted. And after that, there should be wide dissemination of the information that this person was prosecuted and he's in jail because he did this. That is what prevents it, not condemnation and criticism.
Okay, interesting point. I'm just going to come to some of the politics around it also. But Govindraj, if I could just get you into that. We've been hearing various, facets, if you like, of the monster, what's actually happening out here. Perhaps one of the most disturbing, which clearly doesn't even have any clear political aspect to it or Hindu-Muslim aspect to it, any of that. The Facebook, the deaths that I was seeing because of fake news being circulated on Facebook, a lot of them are to do with child lifting. Now, it's not very clear who's creating these images, why they're creating them, and they're sending it out. But those are fake news stories that are being spread. Yes, in some cases it is deliberate and may well be for a political reason. We saw a horrible case very recently, identified by Alt News, another fake news checking site, where people were morphing a procession of Muslims saying that there should be the death penalty for Irfan, the rapist in Mandsaur, alleged rapist in Mandsaur, was morphed and said he should be released. And that's almost an attempt to try and create a communal riot. Should be a culpable offence. People circulating WhatsApp images about child lifters. Surely these are culpable offences, aren't they?
No, of course they're culpable. I think there are, there are 2 or 3 aspects to this phenomenon. The one is that the whole issue has become the phenomenon has become cross-border. The images are flowing from all over the world into India as well as other countries. The image that showed dead children and which was used by some groups or pushed through social media platforms recently in Maharashtra actually came from Syria and originally in 2013. It was debunked by us in 2017, but they were also used in Thailand and Malaysia to show that there's organ harvesting happening of children. But however, we didn't see those kind of reactions in those places. That's number one. Number two, I think we're clearly looking at a situation where people believe these images. The people who put out these images have malicious intent, they design it, and there is a lot of thought and effort that goes into it. I've heard some of those videos. I mean, they're not done by amateurs in the true sense. And what finally you see happening is the collective impact of all of this, which is the riots you see, or the mob violence and the mob vigilantism, which is the third and final aspect of the problem, that there seems to be complete law enforcement breakdown in maybe more so in remote areas, though it's happening in villages, or I mean in cities as well. And there seems to be a feeling that people can take the law into their own hands and deliver some sort of justice, and the police is not able to do anything. Now, finally, I think I would just say that this entire phenomenon, and I'm only talking about fake news leading to killings and murders, is a new phenomenon. Everyone, it is a technology-induced phenomenon, and all of us have been caught unawares. I think some states have clearly taken the lead. Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and law enforcement, as you know, is a local issue. And police officers have gone around trying to tell people about it, trying to do education. So I think all of that will help resolve the problem to some extent. But I think there are 2 or 3 conceptual issues we have to keep in mind. Technology is going to distribute and push some of these messages and hate-filled messages at huge speeds. Okay. There are very, very organized people for various reasons who are putting this together and creating it. And finally, there are very, very willing and gullible recipients of these messages who are even willing to go into violence. If I look at what the previous panelist said, what worries me today when I look at the last 6 months and the 30 murders that have happened is that the transition from message to action seems to have shrunk considerably and can happen literally with the smallest of sparks.
Yeah, and we've heard WhatsApp saying that they're horrified at the way the platform is being used, but they have 230 million users, and so the speed or the speed of the dissemination of these messages is something that is ghastly. In those cases, of course, which you're referring to, it was actually an incitement to violence. In other cases, as Rana found to her horror, the speed at which, you know, offensive, fake, morphed videos can circulate is something that was quite horrifying and chilling to see. Just wanted to get you inside. Is there a organized troll army, as some people say it, or is it just a random grouping of people who get organized around different issues? It's really come to the fore after Sushma Swaraj started getting trolled, because from the right wing we had many people coming out and saying, you yourself have been tweeting, you know, not saying that Sushma Swaraj's decision was wrong, although you didn't personally force abuse her, but you did say that the decision that were taken were wrong. Is there an organized grouping, or is it all just amorphous individuals who do what they will on social media?
In my opinion, I mean, there is nothing organized on social media. People react to news. There was a news came in the Jagran that the document of Tanvi Seth was morphed. It is not correct. Her address was incorrect. So people reacted to that news. They were not organized in any way. People on social media react to what they see on TV, on the news channels, on the news websites. They are not necessarily organized way and trolling, and they do not decide anything to troll anyone. I heard Priyanka ji saying that, I mean, there's a group called We Support Narendra Modi, but no one knows who is behind that. No one knows. It is job of, I mean, that organization, Facebook, to reveal that who is running that page. Anyone from anywhere in the world that can create any page, name it We Support Narendra Modi, I support Narendra Modi, I support something, and can post anything. And you can blame the person, I mean, whose name is in that page. So it is job of the, I mean, Twitter or the Facebook to identify those people who are running those fake pages, anonymous accounts, and trolling, I mean, everyone. Abuser is not a troll. And one who disagrees with you is a troll, is not necessarily, I mean, a troll.
Okay, no, so look, let's be very clear on this. Somebody who disagrees with you, somebody who criticizes with you, that's okay. I don't think that person is either a troll or an abuser. You can disagree violently, vehemently. This is a democracy. Disagreement, saying that you're wrong, criticism, slamming, all of that is fine. We've had the Prime Minister himself saying that criticism is good, provided it's backed by facts and so on and so forth. So that point is well taken. It's when it borders into what Rana saw, when it gets into what Rana was exposed to, what Priyanka was exposed to, what happens in these WhatsApp messages, that's a slightly different level. Priyanka, I just wanted to get you in, and then Rana, I'm going to get you in also. What he's saying, it is not organized. These are just, nobody knows who they are. We don't even know where these pages come from. How would you respond to that, Priyanka? And then Rana, perhaps you can answer too before I come to Pradeep.
No, I find that very hard to believe, because this is it goes about in a very synchronized manner. It's released on WhatsApp through various groups. It's released on Facebook pages, and every Facebook page shares it with another Facebook page which is linked to a common ideology, a common thought process, and that is how it goes viral. And this is not the first time I've seen this kind of synchronized trolling. Synchronized trolling takes place on any issue of national importance, and they continue to troll you for days to come. So I find this hard to believe that it is impossible to track. And I'm totally in agreement. Trolling is not usually disagreements. Even we know the difference between disagreeing vehemently versus vile abuse and violent threats. So that there's a huge difference. But the intent behind making such images go viral using all social media platforms is very clearly to silence those voices which tend to speak up and tend to expose the government and what they stand for. And let's not forget, when Sushma Swaraj ji was trolled, there are 41 such handles, 41 such ministers who follow many of these troll handles. Some of them are followed by the Prime Minister of this country. So till they don't send a stern message out, stand in strong support of Sushma Swaraj, take action against these trolls who use vile language against Sushma Swaraj and even Governor Swaraj, till then we cannot just even hope or expect this particular case where one got arrested to become an entire momentum of anyone speaking up and making vile abuses or violent threats will be actioned upon. So that is what should be a cause for concern and should be the way forward.
Okay, Priyanka, I heard you loud and clear. Rana, do you want to comment on that? The unorganized versus the organized aspect of this.
It is an organized syndicate. I mean, in fact, as I have written in my piece as well, that the porn video with my image morphed in it was sent across to me by a professional acquaintance in the RSS, and he said it was circulating in his WhatsApp group. And within half an hour of him alerting me to this video, there is a screenshot of this porn video circulating on my Twitter timeline. Every third person who shared it, I mean, the Twitter bio said fan of Narendra Modi, and they were all tweeting the same thing in a synchronized manner. Is this your video? Saying the exact same message, exact same tweet. Second day, the fake tweet which circulated in my name that I support child rapists in the name of Islam was shared by a BJP leader in Gujarat. She said, Rana, you should be ashamed of herself. So I wrote to her that it's a parody account, it's not me. Despite that, till today, that tweet exists on her account and she has not deleted it because the purpose was to actually create an atmosphere where atmosphere of hostility against me, where it is shown that I am supporting child rapists in the name of Islam and I'm Islamist to create a perception about me.
Let me come in.
So this is an organized syndicate which is working.
Okay, Pradeep, let me just get you in on this. One of the interesting aspects that has come up about, I'm just coming to the rest of you on the question of you know, organized, unorganized. We can keep debating, but politically, is it somewhat surprising that more members of the BJP didn't come out in defense of Sushma Swaraj? She was left to fight almost on her own. You had people like Sonam Mahajan and others saying that why don't you block me, and Sushma Swaraj had to publicly go out and saying, lo kar diya maine. You know, her husband being asked to beat her up. Finally, then Nitin Gadkari, Rajnath Singh and now Ram Madhav have come out and spoken. But were you somewhat surprised by this?
See, I think principally everybody in the BJP would have agreed to troll, not abusing Sushma Swaraj personally. And when it reached a tipping point, you had the senior ministers, that is Nitin Gadkari and Rajnath Ji and all of these back standing with Sushma Swaraj. And you have Mr. Ram Madhav also taking out an excerpt that this is not the right way. See, principally a troll is is completely emotional and inflammatory nature. Now, when that troll becomes personally abusive, then that is a crime. But in a society, the fact that social media is social means it is random. Now, different individuals will have different emotions. If I say something which is inflammatory in nature, that might hurt the individual here. And this individual, suppose you go in a road rage. How do road rages happen, right? Take a practically analogous situation. Two people do not agree on a certain point and they take out gun and shoot them. So social media is a reflection of the society. Now, it's the responsibility of the police that when it becomes personally abusive, then that's the problem. Second biggest issue is selective condemnation happens. There is left, there is right. Left will selectively only condemn things which suits its ecosystem. And similarly, there might be a situation even in the right. So you would have a situation where somebody is trolling Narendra Modi, personally abusing Narendra Modi. You had Jignesh Mewani telling that his bones should be burnt. Nobody from the left came and supported Narendra Modi there. So it is basically a cycle which
and I think, okay, so it's a point you're making, and you can always argue as to which ecosystem.
I'm not arguing which side. I'm trying to tell you
which ecosystem of abuse is worse. But you're saying that the left ecosystem will not condemn it if there's an abuser there.
You see all
right
the
ecosystem doesn't condemn it if there's an
And also,
Shiva,
just a 5 seconds point, Vikram, I agree with Shailesh's point that ultimately it's the responsibility of these platforms like Twitter and Facebook to call out that these are the people behind it. And if it is proved, then you can say, okay, the BJP is responsible, this person is responsible, the left is responsible.
So the question of anonymity, I think, is an interesting point that you're making. Then I want to come back to that. I want to get everyone's response on that. Is that part of what is fueling it? But before I do that, Shiva, I just wanted to ask you, you've sort of been part of the right-wing ecosystem, then you sort of left that ecosystem. On the question of ecosystems that Pradeep was making, do you agree with him that they are almost... We've had Shekhar Gupta, for example, by the way, coming out and saying that there is almost a liberal orthodoxy as well, which you know, will attack somebody who speaks out against that. What has been your experience? You've sort of been both sides.
So what's basically happening is that the political culture is transforming. What's starting to happen now that it's an arms race. One side started spreading fake news, the other side is basically countering it with fake news. One side started with trolling, the other side also built a troll army to troll the other side. It's a political culture. What we should be evaluating here is how all of it started. Not every incident of trolling is an organized attempt. It's basically people who've been inflamed enough to go out and troll someone. People have been taught that, okay, Muslims are doing something bad in this country, the Hindus are in danger. Now when they see anything related to that, they react on their own. And WhatsApp messages are a big part of it. If you look at WhatsApp groups these days, they're created along caste lines, they're created along religious lines, and specific people from low socioeconomic status are targeted for particular WhatsApp messages. That's where it starts. After this point of time, they might be trolling people out of their own free will. But it's a political culture that a party put into place.
It's starting, actually, can I just a little while back, I spoke to the man who actually set up the BJP IT cell, Pradyut Bora. It's worth just listening into my conversation with him a little earlier, as I said. And I began by asking him about whether there is an organized troll army, and if so, is it running out of control?
I mean, I'm not very surprised by this troll army running amok. Because ultimately an army runs on the orders of the general. And when you have the generals that are there, it's not surprising to see what is happening. And in any organization, whether it's at NDTV, whether it is at the BJP or anywhere else, the culture of the organization is set by the man at the top. When you had Atalji or Advaniji at the top, BJP had a different culture. Now with Modi ji and Amit Shah ji at the top, it's a different culture. So it's a reflection of the man at the top. There's nothing surprising about it.
Pradeep, just wanted to ask you, when you set up the BJP IT cell, what was it that you intended? What is it that you wanted to do with the BJP IT cell?
When I set up the BJP IT cell in the summer of 2007, Mr. Rajnath Singh asked me to draft a charter for the IT cell to kind of put down on paper what is the role of the IT cell. And we had defined 3 roles which he kind of agreed. The first was to automate the party. The second was to draw IT professionals to the party and using these IT professionals to reach out to voters. And the third was to advise the party on IT policy matters. These were the 3 roles, which were signed off by the party president at that time. And it is with these objectives that the IT cell was set up.
Now look, the fact of the matter, Pradyut, is that the charge that is being made is that now there is an organized aspect to trolling, and the BJP IT cell sometimes gets blamed for being systematically organizing it and leading it. Do you accept that charge? Do you think that's a possibility? And if so, what do you think is now driving social media?
No, I mean, I think BJP as a party has mutated beyond, I would imagine, the wildest dreams of its founders. I'm sure Shama Prasad Mukherjee, when he started the Bharatiya Jansangh, which later became the Bharatiya Janata Party, would not have imagined a party like this. And similar is the case with the IT cell. It has kind of mutated beyond recognition. A party which once said that it was a party with a difference, a party which once kind of prided on its sanskar. Today, there is no sanskar left in the BJP.
No, so the BJP IT cell, of course, denies any charges that it is driving the trolling. It says that this is just simply not true. It's fake news by itself.
See, I do not know the internal dynamics of the IT cell anymore. I left the party in 2015, February. But let me ask you one question. If the Prime Minister of the country or the would-be Prime Minister of the country, the Prime Ministerial candidate, makes a comment like 50 crore ka girlfriend, makes a comment like Babar ka aulad, Now, this is the kind of cues that foot soldiers down the line kind of pick up and kind of take it forward. So, I am in no position to kind of comment on whether, this trolling behavior is a directive from the top, but definitely the culture of the BJP at the top has degenerated to the degree that today it's an open season for foot soldiers down the line.
The fact that Sushma Swaraj, External Affairs Minister of the country, will get trolled, a senior BJP leader, some in the BJP would say that that's indicative of the fact that there's not organized trolling that's actually taking place.
Well, I mean, when Frankenstein created the monster, it did not expect that it would turn out that way. I'm sure, I mean, the senior leaders of the BJP have kept quiet for very long. Now that it is kind of biting them, now they would come up with all kinds of explanation. Today, in the Indian Express, I saw a senior BJP leader write an edit page article that such trolling is not acceptable. But why did it have to wait till Mrs. Sushma Swaraj was kind of very badly trolled for BJP to speak up? What took it so long? And you must understand that these forces have been unleashed by the BJP, and now these forces, by a large part of them may be out of the party control, but the question is, who started the fire?
All right, the BJP also would say that there are others who do it too. Aam Aadmi Party, they've got trollers. Congress Party, they've got trollers. There are various troll armies out there now fighting each other on social media.
Yes, the law has to operate, and if the political executive doesn't take the initiative, I think sooner than later somebody needs to approach the Supreme Court and get the Supreme Court to kind of intervene, because we have seen the kind of repercussions that have taken place due to this unbridled trolling. And I think it is, if the political executive doesn't take any action, the judicial executive needs to come forward and say that where does free speech end? And where does unacceptable behavior begin? I think somebody needs to define that Lakshman Rekha.
You are, however, you seem to be maintaining that the worst is coming from the organization that you helped to set up, the BJP IT said. Is that what you are believing? That that's where a lot of this is coming from? You
see, if you talk to any policeman, they will tell you that most mobs are organized. It's organized violence. Rarely is a mob which is spontaneous, and any spontaneous mob violence can be controlled sooner than later. But when a mob is organized, it's very, very difficult to control it. And within the online space, the digital space, I think today we have an organized mob that is all over the place, and it is not as kind of spontaneous or harmless as it kind of seems. It's a very, very organized activity.
All right, Pradyut, thanks a lot for joining us. It of course takes courage to, I guess, speak up, and even speaking up can invite a troll attack, but thanks a lot for joining us. I just want to throw something to all of you now. When it comes to how do you control this, so we've had various suggestions being made. Police cases and actually filing of charges against somebody who's inciting violence, fake WhatsApp messages, lynchings being done, rape threats to a child, that can be handled by police. But for the rest of it to try and moderate behavior, irrespective of who's doing it, whether it is the BJP doing it or someone else doing it. But I just wanted to first of all, actually, I should first pose that question of mine and ask you, Pradyut saying that the BJP IT cell is behind a lot of this. How would you respond to that?
Yeah. So I'm patiently hearing everybody. So one is that the conclusion which comes that it is BJP who does this, because every time when I see an anchor or anybody else, not you as particular.
By the way, the specific organization that you were once involved with, the BJP IT cell.
Yeah, and I and Pradyut started that in 2008. So I was one of the 6 founder members. So I know Pradyut ji very well, and he knows me. So where what happens is, when we take a narrative from the entire media, it is not you at particular, but whenever, all say that it is BJP and other organizations. Nobody names other organizations. It's only, it's been coming.
I said the Aam Aadmi
but
Party,
I said there is one
Congress Party, have all been accused of
one Hindi shairi which I remembered from my college days, and which I just, with your permission, repeat is, हमने मगरिब की नमाज पढ़ी तो भी हम काफिर रहे. So when we read the namaz, we were called as kafirs. और आपने झर भेज दिया दवा के नाम पे. So I'll just show you something. कि this is what NDTV broadcasted. I'm not talking anyway. If the cameras can zoom, this is a tweet done by NDTV with a fake photograph. And then the INB minister came in, said, please correct it, and your people pulled down. I'm not talking about any political party. So I'm just giving this example.
I'm assuming that if that was pulled down, obviously a mistake. I'm sure they apologize for it. Look, people will make mistakes. Organizations will make mistakes. Somebody makes a mistake, they apologize for it, that's fine. How can that be equated with somebody sending a message to Priyanka Chaturvedi saying, I'd like to rape your daughter?
Yeah, sure.
How can you even start
if you give
by
it 20
equating
seconds, then you will understand. That's why when the program started and I was given 10-second data, I said, whoever does this is a monster. Whoever. I did not say if it is done only by a congressman, then he is a monster. And if it is done by a right-winger, then he is not a monster. Anybody who tries to morph a female's photograph, threaten a movement, there is no place in a civilized society. But at the same time, organizations, and any organization, be it a political organization or be it a media organization, all of us have to be responsible. This is an act of individual, whether it is a mistake or deliberate, both are condemnable.
Let's discuss steps forward now. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, no, I think so. You know, I think we've got two different issues here. And, you know, the first issue is to do with what we've been talking about so far, which is to do with trolls and troll armies and abusive content and wild content. And that's an important issue.
Did you see this content? Etira, you didn't monitor this. That's why I don't know. It is very abusive and very threatening.
There's a good chance that action will happen. My concern and the big concern when we should focus on is the stuff that is anonymous, the stuff that actually goes out and says that, you know, there are villages, there are people coming into your village, go and kill them because they might be child kidnappers. 2 young boys in Assam who are passing through a village, thanks to a hyper-local messaging network, get killed because, again, they're suspected of being child kidnappers. I think to me that's a much larger, not a much larger, but it's definitely a larger problem of which if it is not responded to swiftly at a much larger institutional level, police, law enforcement and media to some extent, we will head towards near anarchy.
Okay, heading towards anarchy.
Just 5 seconds. Etiraj ji, the problem with you is you follow Rahul Gandhi ji in toto. आप जब आपका सवाल ढूंढते हैं पहले जजमेंट लिखते हैं बाद में इन्वेस्टिगेशन करते हैं you write the outcomes of your finding first and then you try to do this. My request to you is be little unbiased, sir.
From what I understood from Govindra, he was saying that it's not even clear who's somebody spreading fake WhatsApp messages about child kidnappers not necessarily tied to any community. Govindra, I'm going to come to all of you one by one on trying to find solutions. Govindra, do you want to respond to what he said? Then I'm going to come to Rana and Priyanka and the others.
No, I don't know. I mean, you know, what I'm talking about has nothing to do with parties so far. And I think when 30 people have already died and about 23 this year, I think you're talking about something that goes beyond party lines.
Shailesh, do you agree with that basic thesis that it from positive messaging has become negative? And B, how do you counter the worst elements in this? Is it by removing anonymity, police cases? What's the right way to do it?
Yes, I mean, you have to remove anonymity. The problem with the social media is everyone, I mean, can handle hundreds of accounts. There may be some guy sitting somewhere in India, maybe handling 10 accounts or 15 accounts. Maybe he is saying one good thing from one account and 10 bad things from another account. How will you handle that? That platform have to do something about it. You cannot let this happen forever. You should, I mean, be clear about who the person behind that handle or the page or the account is. That is the way, I mean, and
Aadhaar
anyone.
Link. Aadhaar link.
Aadhaar, link it to Aadhaar. We need
Aadhaar, so that see, WhatsApp cannot run without mobile numbers. Link it with Aadhaar so that what will happen is who is using that WhatsApp can be caught. You have to put some accountability to technology.
Okay.
Otherwise, what will happen? There will be a monster unleashed.
Okay. Pradeep?
See, if you're talking about solutions, I have 4 solutions. One individual, one account, one individual admin of one Facebook group or say one Twitter community. Number 3, make the WhatsApp group admins also culpable in the crime. So find this, it's very easy to find the source of the WhatsApp group from where it is basically disseminated. Next, every district administration has a complete district community. It has a Gram Raksha Samiti. Please educate them that what comes on WhatsApp principally can be fake. There was an SP, I remember in Telangana, who used street play as a mechanism to actually tell to the common man that what comes on WhatsApp principally can be fake, so do not believe it. So I think it's a collaborative effort which needs, but let Vikram understand, whether it is Congress also, it has also built an ecosystem of social media ecosystem which is anti-right in a nature. So it is used as a tool for getting political points. So nobody can claim a high moral ground. The problem is when it gets personally abusive, all of us should come together.
Okay, I agree with that. Actually, again, Rana, can I just come to you and everyone else on the panel? A couple of solutions that have come from here may actually be interesting. Rana, anonymity perhaps is one of the factors that really lies behind this. Even if the person, I mean, some of these things that really are obviously shocking. You can't imagine people saying this sort of a stuff or putting it out, and certainly didn't used to when it was clear, this is my name, this is my face, I'm doing it under my own account. Anonymity sometimes allows people to get away with things, or to think they will get away with things. Is that part of the answer, what we've just heard from our studio out here? That perhaps if you link things, you make sure that you can track who the person is who did it. Till now, nobody knows, Rana, who morphed that picture, that picture of yours and put it out. It should have been possible to track that person down. That person should have been in prison.
Absolutely. Vikram, nobody knows this yet. I filed a police complaint on the 26th of April. I've recorded my statement before the magistrate. But what the police can possibly do is that there was a syndicate which was tweeting the same stuff and the same screenshots of the video. And these were not anonymous accounts. These are people who had a face, who had a name, who had job descriptions. If the police was really serious about it, the authorities were serious about dealing with this, they could have at least made a few arrests to show that this was not negotiable. Because this is no longer trolling, Vikram. I think we have to understand that this has gone beyond trolling. It's no longer about anonymity. Because this is happening, there's a brazen attitude. Nobody really cares about an anonymous account. Most of the people who are posting the pornographic video and the screenshots did not have an anonymous account. They were not bots. These are people with identities.
Okay, let me just ask you that. So, taking her point forward, if somebody is retweeting or forwarding, the biggest problem with WhatsApp is forwarded as received. It could be anything, and you think that by saying forwarded as received, you're certainly absurd. Somebody will get murdered because you forwarded something.
Vikram, now the WhatsApp has come with a new guideline. Till the time you do not see it, you cannot forward it. Then there is another grant that they've issued $50,000 in order to innovate on this technology.
Should somebody, Rana's point is, somebody who is retweeting or forwarding something which is wrong, should that person be culpable?
No, I mean, Rana made a point where she said any account which has the name and the photograph and the description. I may create an account with the name of Vikram and put a bio in it. Can you believe that? No. What is the guarantee of that account? The person who is the original holder of the account has created it. There are hundreds of accounts using anyone's image. How can you identify?
Priyanka, let me just get Priyanka on this. Priyanka, in this particular case, the fact that they were able to arrest this person, he didn't make any particular attempts, I think, to hide his identity and all that. And by the way, if you scrolled down his Twitter feed, as I did after he made that horrific comment to you, he was actually making similar comments about other people. So there's actually a history on his Twitter account which he really made no effort to hide. But the question of anonymity, is that part of the problem, you think?
No, anonymity is of course an issue, and it has been misused by a political party, and I'll continue to blame this political ideology simply because there was never any positive messaging even in 2014. In 2014, the underlying narrative was very clear, though the mask was of development. But unfortunately, now the mask is off. The underlying narrative has become the dominating narrative, and that narrative is fueling this kind of vile abuse, violent threats, and people continue to stay silent while women are threatened almost on a daily basis.
No, I'm saying this is the same selectivity and hypocrisy. That's where the problem lies. Again, it is just not about the BJP and the Congress. Congress today trends more than BJP on a lot of accounts. Congress today has the bigger an equal ecosystem than the BJP. While there is an allegation on the same Congress social media cell. So there is again the problem. So they cannot claim a very high moral ground.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. There has to be unanimity that on personal abuse, all of you have to come together.
Fine. I'm trying to wrap this up. Govind Raj, let me get a quick final word from you. Govind Raj.
Let me answer.
Quick final word. Let me just get final comments from some of the others also. Govind Raj, especially Govind Raj, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but I couldn't get the question of the
WhatsApp
comment.
tracking down people, spreading those sort of messages, morphed images, child kidnappers, stuff like that. If anonymity wasn't there, should there be a way? Actually, you should be able to track anybody down because they are sending a WhatsApp message from a particular phone. Is that part of the answer, along with tough laws?
You cannot stop anonymity. And I think fundamentally you cannot blame social media platforms for the simple reason that social media platforms will replicate. You can shut down Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, everything, and there will be 3 replacements for that in exactly 1 month's time. Remember, all these platforms are barely a decade old. And this is all that we are talking about is really a creation of what human beings have done and are doing, including the hate and including the wild speech in recent months or recent years.
Turn to the audience and see if anybody has a point to make. Yeah, the lady there, yeah.
Those who just sits behind the screen and bash the other person. So why we people don't understand ki there's a huge difference between constructive criticism and trolling.
I think I just have time for one last sentence from everybody. Priyanka, one last line from you.
All I'd hope now is that with this particular arrest, the police would come up with a watertight case, and when the entire proceedings happen in court, the person gets the punishment he duly deserves. The punishment will perhaps send a ripple effect on the entire social media platforms, that anonymity can be traced. A nameless, faceless Twitter handle will be traced if he uses vile abuses and threats. And police is serious about this, and any kind of online trolling will also be tackled and dealt with seriously and severely.
So 1 or 2 arrests, 1 or 2, punishments that become well circulated might be the solution. Do you agree with that?
Of course, not only 1 or 2, everybody who does it is, but only one single line. I get little offended when people say it's only right-wingers who are doing this and it is organized. So there is one saying which I heard, I would like to tell that. People who failed in the school of morality, they self-appoint themselves as vice-chancellors of University of Morality. They have to peep in themselves. It was Congress who, sterilized unmarried Muslim youths in Turkman Gate and then said they are messiahs of Muslims. So probably the fake news started in 1975 from Congress headquarters.
Okay, fine. Shivam, last word from you.
I believe punishment is the right way to go for individual attacks, but that will not address the fake news issue, which is a major problem on WhatsApp. For that, we will have to look towards a technological solution where an AI, artificial intelligence algorithm, can just mark pieces as fake, so that people know that it's a fake news when it's forwarded on WhatsApp or Twitter or Facebook.
All right. It's not
because
always easy for an AI.
Because once the damage is done and it's already spread, it doesn't help to arrest someone.
There are things that AI engines
Vikram,
can do
I have
easily
an appeal.
that can't.
Can I?
Yeah, Govind Raj, last quick word from you.
I have a simple appeal. As has been pointed out in this discussion earlier, a lot of links, tenuous or otherwise, trace back to people who are in social media who've been saying things which should not be said clearly in public domain and are linked on Twitter, for instance, with the Prime Minister. I appeal to the Prime Minister to de-link himself from all these people and to really start afresh like any world leader would, link to people who you hold as peers, and also thus send out a message that you are above all of this, and if anyone does things that they shouldn't be doing, they're not part of our system.
Okay.
So Etiraj, Sanjay Nirupam, Digvijay Singh, Shashi Tharoor, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Saifuddin Soch, Rahul Gandhi himself, all of them have some charge sheets or some complaints or some kind of problems against them. My request through you to INC is please unfollow them.
Okay.
So don't be one-sided, Etiraj.
All right, Shailesh, I have to wrap now. I'm just going to get one line from you, then one line from Rana.
Sure. Yeah, but I think I'm talking to the Prime Minister. These are not Prime Ministers. Yeah.
And they will never be Prime Minister. Take my words. They will never be Prime Minister.
Okay. If you want to fight monster of faking news or anonymity, you need to be right, not right versus left. That right is doing this, left is doing this. 2 days ago, a handle followed by INC India abused mother of Arun Jaitley ji. That is the name of by the name of public prosecutor. But this happens from both sides. If you are fighting, we are saying that anyone who gives a rape threat should be punished. Maybe it's Priyanka Chaturvedi, Shefali Vaidya, or Shilpi Tiwari. People from any side who is doing wrong things should be punished.
I think that's a fair enough point to make. Anybody who does it should be punished. Rana Ayub, last quick word from you.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Govind here, because there has to be a strong statement from political parties across the spectrum that hateful language and fake messaging, fake tweets are non-negotiable, because this is no longer a social media phenomena. We have lost 30 lives due to lynching, so this is no longer something that we can ignore.
Okay.
So there has to be a strong message that needs to go across political spectrum.
Okay, I'm flat out of time. I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
Hypocrisy and selectivism which is seen in the comments should stop. all of us should come united on this. And the way Govind and these people expose hypocrisy that only the Prime Minister should do it, why not the office of Rahul Gandhi should do it? He is also the president of the largest opposition party. So till the time hypocrisy does not stop, till the time Rana Ayub and Shefali, where they're not treated in the same manner in terms of exposing the hypocrisy in personal abuse, I don't think this will stop.
So the Prime Minister will not stop following trolls and people who abuse just because Rahul Gandhi isn't doing it.
No, but police also follows the criminals. That does not mean that police endorses the criminals. Sometimes you need to follow them. Following is not an endorsement of their ideology.
Prime Minister Modi is following trollers so he can expose their ideology.
That's in your definition a troll. If the person has made a personally abusive statement, a rape threat, then unfollow the person.
All right, fine. I'm afraid we have to end it out here right now. Look, this is something which I fear we're going to keep coming back to. We're going to keep coming back and looking to it because social media, which is something that originated by tying us all together, introducing us back, getting us back together with our friends and our relatives and Facebook, and you chat with people. Unfortunately, it is now being used not by everybody, but by a certain section of people for very negative purposes. And recently, we have started to see the real cost in human lives, and actually in terms of deaths, as we are seeing with some of the WhatsApp followings, the lynchings that we have been seeing. An answer needs to be found. Now, we've discussed some of the possible solutions out here. Obviously, it's an answer that has to extend to everybody across all political parties, to all of us. We need to find answers. Political parties need to look within themselves. Are any of their activists and any of their workers doing things that are wrong? If so, they owe it to the nation, they owe it to all of us to stop that. And for the rest of it and for the authorities, you need to do your bit as well to try and sort out this problem once and for all. Final word for all of you. Before you press that next forward on that WhatsApp message, just look at it once. Make sure it is correct and it is honest. And that, by the way, is something that all of us can do. That's The Big Fight. We'll be back next week.